Hey, how's it going? It's Grant
And Shelby.
with the Garden of Eden, and tonight we're going to be talking about one of the most misunderstood topics in shrimp keeping or the aquarium hobby altogether, and that is TDS or total dissolved solids. Um, I get this question asked all the time if I can explain TDS or go over it, and well, tonight's the night. Shelby helped me do a bunch of research onto it plus all of my already knowledge that I already have. But some of our research made sense with some of our travels and some of the other things that we do day to day life and whatnot. So we learned some stuff in the research, and we're going to pass that on to you as well as what we already know. So, um, people are having issues with TDS. They have the same TDS, but not getting the exact same result. Um, so for us, we use a total dissolved solid of about 150 to 160 for our Caridina shrimp, where we mix RO water and GH only minerals to prep our water. And then for outside, our tubs is 170 to 108 total dissolved solid out the tap water. And then I still have yet to check my wastewater. That's not running yet, so that's why. But I'm curious, what is your TDS, and if you're running tap water or RO water, and then we can go over some things, some questions and whatnot through tonight's topic. But what exactly is TDS or total dissolved solids? It includes everything that is dissolved in the water. That means minerals, salts, and waste. And it also is measuring quantity, not quality. So that is a key thing to note with the TDS, because we're able to use the TDS pen and total dissolved solids on a day-to-day thing to measure out our parameters. And this is basically going to break down why we can do that, and what is actually in your water and everything like that. So um, when you're talking about TDS, you've got, some good things, some bad things, and some things that are right in the middle that are kind of neutral. The good stuff, that is calcium. The shrimp need that for their molts. They need it in order to molt, to grow, to take care of their shells. The best way to put it. Then they also have need. The good stuff would also consider of magnesium, which is also going to help with their molting, and then carbonates, which for Caridina shrimp, you're going to want zero carbonates, which is not a good thing. But for Neocaridina, that is going to be your stability. If you do not have carbonate hardness when you're dealing with inert substrates or an inert environment, your pH is going to go up and down throughout the day and nighttime hours, and it's not going to be very good for the critters that are living inside those tanks. Some of the neutral stuff is just potassium. It's not really going to affect or harm your shrimp in any way. The levels that are going to be in our waterways is not going to be nearly that bad. It's going to be right neutral. And then you've got your problematic stuff that includes sodium. So, yes, it's part of salt, but it is not exactly salt. So, sodium is not actually good in our saltwater environments, and not really for the shrimp. So if your TDS is made up of a lot of sodium, your TDS could be pretty high, and they're not necessarily going to get the calcium, magnesium in order to molt, even with a high TDS. Your nitrates or your waste in the water will also show. That's why a lot of times when you dose fertilizer, your TDS also goes up. And then organics in the water also, fish food. If you overfeed before it's able to break down into nitrates, will also raise up your TDS as well. But key line to note here is that TDS is a mix of all of this together into one number. So you don't necessarily have an exact tell of what that makeup is unless you start with 0 TDS, and then with salts that are exactly ideal, like our GH minerals from salty shrimp, that would have 0 carbonate hardness in the water. So Toot Dog says I use 90 to 100 TDS for my Caridina on RO DI water, which is very, very low. And for us, I'm not able to get good production of babies out of that low of TDS. I was even as low as 130 and not getting very very good results. So we switched over to 150, and then since then I've raised it about to 160 in some tanks, and I find that suits us a lot better for our shrimp tanks here. What your TDS pen won't tell you is your exact mineral breakdown. It won't tell you if your water is exactly good or bad if you're, in a tap water condition. I do say that in my talks. Probably 90% of the water, if it's above 100 TDS, is good enough for Neocaridina shrimp. But if you're wanting to know exactly if your water has enough mineral breakdown or not, you're going to have to pull out the GH and KH kits. The TDS pen is not going to cut it. It won't tell you if the tank is balanced or not. So if it's swinging in pH throughout the day, it's not going to tell you how much waste or nutrients is in the water. And, the TDS can look perfectly fine while your tank is actually declining. So it's all right to have a good know-abouts of your TDS. You just can't rely on just TDS. So a lot of people could have the same TDS and having different results. Tank A will have a balanced amount of minerals and a clean system, where tank B will be high in sodium, high in waste, a lot of low useful minerals. So the TDS is really high, but they're not using sodium to molt and stuff like that. So definitely could have the same TDS with that kind of setup, and then very different outcomes. One tank is built on calcium and the other tank is built on junk. And it makes me think about a lot of the when I was learning about sodiums and how they can affect the TDS and everything like that. It makes me wonder about some of the minerals and the GH to TDS ratio from some of them, and it being really high TDS for 1 GH. And to me, that tells me it's made with a lot of sodium, and sodium's probably much cheaper than calcium and magnesium. That's just my guess. I'd have to look into that, and that would be more research that I would have had it done prior to this. And then another issue, and this is something that I found out on my own accord already, but I didn't know exactly what the water softener was doing, so we had to do some more research on that. But a lot of people will have issues breeding Neocaridina shrimp with water softeners. Now, what the water softener actually does is remove calcium and magnesium and replaces it with sodium. So it's the exact opposite of what you would want with your Caridina minerals or Neocaridina minerals. And that's why you can't just have a water softener and then add GH or KH minerals to it to get proper water. A lot of times you're going to end up with very, very high sodium levels, and this is probably not good for your shrimp. I know high sodium is not good for humans, and I don't know, but it's probably not very healthy for your fish as well. So, um, basically, you could have a high TDS and still have water softeners, but the shrimp would lack the essential minerals that they would need to molt and thrive. Yeah, better options if you find out you have a water softener. Man, where did I put in the notes about the sliminess?
That's that was already.
I feel like some of my stuff is out of
order.
Yeah.
You did, yeah.
Yep. All right, hold on. No. That's with the water softener.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the water softener later. I'm sorry.
Did you already answer Tube Dog? How fast should I raise the TDS?
So I have to answer that question with a question. Are your shrimp breeding? Like, how are they doing? What kind of results are you getting? Because for us, it wasn't that the shrimp weren't breeding in those lower numbers. They just weren't breeding fast enough for my liking. Still to this day, like our calcios and some of our crystals and stuff like that, maybe the calcios would breed faster and higher TDS. Maybe the crystals would breed faster and lower TDS. But I feel like they get less water changes when I do that. They breed faster for us the more water changes I do. And the whole house gets treated one way, and therefore we get better breeding. And now let's say you want to aim for a higher TDS. Maybe you want to start at 130 and coast on 130 for a few months. All I would do is start doing my water changes with 130 TDS water. I would do it on a 10% once a week ratio. I would do it maybe 20% at the max every 2 weeks, but you want gradual small changes. So every week would be more ideal, and just do 10% to get it up to the level. Maybe test it at 130, get a batch of babies and see how it does. And then maybe go to 150. But here's the other thing that I need to for other people that are watching also. What you can end up doing is stunting the growth of a generation or two of your shrimp breeding before they catch up and start producing what you would want them to. But if they're already really breeding slow, chances are you're not going to stunt them any worse. But for us, I noticed after like 2-3 generations of the super tigers and some of these other shrimp, the hummels and stuff like that, they would get breeding and produce rather fast once they got a generation or two of them going and adapt to those water parameters. Then after that, the babies and everything took off just like the rest of the house. It's just those crystals and the calcios, maybe the aurora blue tigers, that are just kind of slow breeders, but like they're slow for everybody. That's the same with orange eye blue tigers, and I think that's just that type of shrimp. It is rather slow. So it's all good. I think I'm done with this page. Then we have why people misuse TDS. They treat it like a target. They assume that just because they have 150 total dissolved solids, that their water is good enough to go, and that they're able to keep any kind of shrimp that they want. They're comparing numbers without context. They don't know exactly what their sodium, GH, KH levels are. And then, you know, you want to use it as a reference, not really as a goal. For us, our reference is our tap water comes out at 170 to 180 total dissolved solids. It's not a goal of ours. That is our reference because we've already gone through our water. Shelby's gone through the water and tested the GH, the KH, the ammonia. Your tap water probably has ammonia. Did you know that? And everything that the test kits come with. And that gives us a good general breakdown of what our water is. And so when we're about to do a massive water change like yesterday, the whole family was out there doing water changes and taking care of the backyard. Today we got to enjoy that with the slip and slide, but that's why we're a little bit late tonight too. But if we go out and do a water change, test the TDS, and if it's anywhere out of range of that 170, maybe 165 is okay. Maybe 185 would be all right. And I wouldn't be like, oh no, sound the alarm. But one thing me and Shelby are actually really worried about and are very concerned is chlorine. Since last year, we wiped out some of our ocean blues from it. So we're kind of sniffing the water when we're doing water changes or dishes and stuff like that. Shelby will let me know, hey, you probably shouldn't do water changes.
Yeah.
And then we test the water. If it's out of that range, then I know maybe something's going on in the pipes. They're dosing heavy chlorine, chloramines. They're trying to clean the pipes out. Sometimes when the heat when the heat turns on, when Mother Nature turns the heat on and it raises from 40 degrees all the way up to 90 degrees, sometimes that can break debris in the pipes a little bit loose, raises up a little bit of erosion, raises the TDS. And then there's other times where, like, especially now, this is a possibility. I think that a lot of people aren't thinking, but I think nationwide in the last 14 years, we haven't seen a drought this bad. And like, there's fires all over Florida, and it's usually just California that has all the fires, and it's every county. We're getting fire reports here in Florida. So
we also have someone who's deliberately doing it in our area, apparently.
All right, well, that's just too much hair out there today.
Yeah.
But where was I? But your county can run out of water, and the county next to you will have surplus of water, and they'll sell it to your county. So now you're getting a totally different source of water altogether. Sometimes they're close, sometimes they're the same. But if you're testing your TDS before you do your water changes, it's a good reference for you to use when doing your water changes.
I would like to add on to that too, is that like sometimes we have, like we were talking about, there's a lot of chlorine in the water and other situations like the TDS being off. It is much better for you to skip that water change than it is for you to use water that you do not think is safe or do not know if it's safe. Now, if you go test it and it's not a problem, then that's a whole different story. But that is the only time I would say like it's okay to skip water changes to do more harm if you add in minerals that you don't know what's going on, than to do a water change for the sake of it. And you could wipe out a whole colony of shrimp, that could happen.
And it's why it's actually really important to make sure you do big water changes before like a big storm, like a hurricane or something like that. I'm not talking like it's going to rain heavy this Thursday, Shelby. We should, change our plans. No, I'm talking like a hurricane where people lose power. Your water treatment plant could lose power, and sometimes there's a heavy dose of chlorine to kind of kill off a lot of those bacterias and whatnot that are in the water when the water power generators get turned off from the power going out. and you're wanting to do a big water change because your power went out too. So it's better to do a big one before the storm hits, because sometimes you're not able to after. All right, when does the TDS actually matter? When you're doing your water changes for consistency. For us, I always want my TDS to be 150 to 160. And I also always want that's for Caradina. For the Neo Caradinas to be around 170 to 180. For matching parameters, also, for us, we're kind of buying some new shrimp right now, getting some of the orange eye blue tigers. We have those orange eye neocaradinas and whatnot, and our TDS might be a little bit off than the other breeder. I'm going to assume the other breeders' GH and everything else like that is okay, but when I'm dripping, I want to bring their TDS up or down to the tank that I'm going to be putting them in. So there, I don't necessarily test the GH or the KH of the water. I'm more matching the TDS and temperatures before I pluck them and then put them into the water that they're going to go into. And then Caradina stability, or even Neocaradina, if you're testing to see if your tank is getting too high and it needs top offs, or if it needs a good water change. Because if your TDS is getting high and you don't have access to perfect RO water and you keep topping it off with like 5 TDS or 8 TDS, eventually that's going to climb a little bit too high. Depending on, like, this is somebody who's really losing a lot of water in between water changes, mainly with like a dehumidifier and no lid in the room or something like that. And you can test your TDS in the tank, and if it's getting too high, might be time to just do a water change rather than just start to top it off. More matters for Caradina. For the Neos, me and Shelby, honestly, we have a tank that we pour all of our mugs and water into so we don't waste it. And the tank TDS probably gets a little higher, but it's all Neos and Guppies, and they love it. So they're doing pretty well. When TDS might mislead you, you might think the TDS is good, and you might just go with, all right, the tank's good, and it might make you lazy and not test for nitrates and ammonia and stuff like that. So you might test the TDS and have low TDS and assume that that is clean water and that it is soft, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's soft water. A lot of times soft water is just reference to TDS of 200 or less. But for us, when we're talking about soft water, it's like still 200 or less TDS for sure, but also with a very low pH. And then in the reverse of that, you can assume you have really hard water or bad water because your TDS is too high. And I've always been on the assumption that I don't think I've come across water there that the TDS is too high to breed shrimp in. Shelby and myself, when we can remember to enter, what?
You said Neos, right?
Yeah.
Because Caradina, we definitely know that it can get too high.
We're talking tap water here.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're talking tap water, so
Sorry.
It's always going to be Neos if I'm talking to tap water. I hope it's not confusing, but in Florida, we have a Florida State Fair that hosts an aquarium beautiful contest, and the contest is an hour away from our house, and our house has 180 total dissolved solids at the maximum, and the fair had 750 coming out of the tap water that we were using for our aquariums. And let me tell you, me and Shelby, we enter relatively small shrimp. We want you to be able to see the shrimp, but we wanted to make our tanks look big because that's the depth that we're giving with the tiny little shrimp in the tank. Well, every time we enter shrimp in the contest, we come home with buried, bigger, nice, healthy shrimp. Not massive, they didn't grow that much in like the 3 weeks that they're there, but almost every single time I come home with pregnant shrimp. They're doing really, really well. Is it a female action going on?
Yeah.
You need to take some males out. But now that we've got, oh no, I'm not done. No, I was done. I'm sorry. I put that aside for a reason. Now that we know what TDS is, maybe we can help some people troubleshoot and work on some of their TDS issues, problems with their setups where the shrimp are dying, the TDS looks fine, it's within range, and you're not just looking for numbers, you're looking for what's missing or what's wrong here. So step number one, and this is always what I tell people, that is basically the most important thing besides stable pH. Stable pH is number one. Number two is general hardness, because I can argue that general hardness could be number one because you're not going to be able to molt, but I think the shrimp might live just as long in both unstable pH and the wrong GH, depending on when that shrimp molted last or whatnot. But for the most part, the fastest way to find out your problem is to check that GH. If your GH is not 5 or higher, but your TDS is in the 150 to 200 or higher range, then 100% you don't have enough calcium, you don't have enough magnesium, your sodium is very high in your water, and that's not very good. You're going to have molting deaths. You're going to have weak shells. You might notice that your shrimp are eating the other shrimp, probably because it's the fastest way to get more calcium and magnesium into their diet. But they're also very squishy when they can't have a proper amount of calcium and magnesium. So they get eaten off by the stronger ones.
Yeah.
That are not molting as often and larger.
That happens when like buried females aren't molting properly too. Like that's when they'll like drop their eggs and all sorts of issues. Like you might have them survive, but they're not going to thrive, and they're going to have like where females drop their eggs because they can't produce enough. They have to have the proper water just to even hold eggs. It's the same with women. We have to have iron. We have to have minerals in order to produce a baby. So it's the same with any animal.
But in shrimp, it's really going to boil down to the calcium and magnesium. And the only way around that, because every single time I have a talk, and I'm never going to forget the old guy in one of my last talks where I can't remember where it was, or it was in Atlanta, and their water is a little bit on the softer side. They don't have as high GH and TDS in their water, but there's this old guy who was breeding, I can't remember what kind of shrimp it was or whatever it was, but he was going on about how they're breeding and his water isn't as high as what I recommend, da-da-da-da-da. And then I'm like, well, they can still get the minerals that they need out of their diet. So what are you feeding them? And the guy's like, oh, all I'm feeding them is green beans. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I wouldn't think that green beans would have enough magnesium and calcium in it. But maybe your water might fluctuate in GH or KH, and they're able to get it. And I don't know, but I didn't think it was doable. Maybe it's because of how frequently you change your water, and they're able to be replenished with the minerals that are in there more frequently. I don't know how you do it. I would have thought that they would have needed some source of calcium in their diet a lot more than green beans in order to breed. And then the guy at the end of the talk comes up to me and goes, "Hey, you know what? I thought about it, and you're actually right, because I'm feeding the fish in the tank, but I'm only feeding green beans to the shrimp. But the fish are getting this and this and this and this and this." And he's like, and a lot of those foods are high in magnesium because they're guppies, and they're or calcium because the guppies really like calcium. And I'm like, you tell that to me now. You couldn't have told me that in front of all the other people who now think that you're able to breed shrimp on your guys' water and green beans. So I hope not too many people took that in. But if you test your water, if you're getting into shrimp, 100%, first thing you should test is the GH. It is one of the most important things. If you're going to test the pH, test in the morning and at night in your aquarium, and that'll find out if you're stable parameters. If you have those two things locked in, almost always you'll be able to successfully breed shrimp. The next thing is you got to check your nitrates. High waste buildup caused by overfeeding and just not doing proper amounts of water changes can raise your TDS. Also, fertilizing can also raise your nitrates, which can also increase your TDS. And the TDS from waste, like I mentioned, is not necessarily good for their molting. And basically, what we're trying to test the TDS out with is that you've got enough of the right minerals in your water. So that's why GH is more ideal for that. Then here's where we're talking about the water softeners again. You want to check for those. A lot of times, if you live in an HOA, an apartment, that's why a lot of the hotels that me and Shelby go to, we say in Louisiana when we stayed in the crawfish, we stayed in the crawfish den. When we for the FOTUS Expo, we're like, there's too much crawfish in the water. The water's slimy. That's from there being a water softener, and that's the apartments, that's the HOAs not wanting water stains all over the place. And yes, water stains in the fridge, but also in the fridge. Oh my god. You'll have water stains in the fridge if you have hard water and you're using the water too much. But I'm talking shower, and then the HOA is worried about hard water stains on like fences and what? That's a legitimate thing.
I just can't believe you said refrigerator. Like, why?
It's a legitimate thing. There's lots of people that have to deal with hard water stains in their refrigerator. I'm telling you right now. Maybe not in it, but like with the water spot, on the side of the refrigerator. You know what I'm saying?
The water spout. Yeah.
All right. But if you're testing your TDS and you have high TDS and you have really low, almost no GH, that's a clue that you have a water softener. If you can't feel the crawfish in the water or like how slippery, slimy it is, don't be on in this early in the stream. Where were you? You just came back. You could have yawned off stream.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I just heard you talking. You made me really bored for a minute.
Step 4, check your KH. Low KH will be instability for your Neocaridina, but high KH will be catastrophe and higher pH for your Caridina tank. So you want to make sure the makeup of your TDS is consisting of the proper amount of KH for whatever shrimp you're taking care of. If you're I said both of those. Yeah, that's all there is to do with KH. Step 5, And this isn't necessarily step 5. This is just another way of like trying to figure out what's going on in your tank, and it's just observing your tank. It's a little hard to do with 500 aquariums, so I kind of rely on when I'm feeding to go back and look at the house like 10 to 30 minutes afterwards, so that way I can see who's eating all their food, who's not eating food at all, etc. And that's my best go to figure out what's going on in tanks. And then of course breeding and whatnot. If they're not producing babies and I don't have buried females and stuff like that, then I generally try to figure out what's going on in the aquarium and go through a lot of these troubleshooting issues myself. But observing the shrimp is something I'll start doing in those tanks. Molting deaths, if you're having issues with shrimp getting stuck in the molts, that's guaranteed an issue with GH more than likely, or they're not getting enough minerals in their diet, calcium in their diet. If you have like a slow decline, you could have water quality issues. You could also have high buildup of waste. If there's too much nitrogen in the water, it'll burn their gills, make it difficult for them to breathe, and they'll slow down, they'll stop reproducing and stuff like that. Also, I want to make sure that it's not a bacterial infection. So slow decline just means like they're not breeding anymore. You're losing a lot of the bigger ones over time, and smaller ones and whatnot in between, but it's not a death like every single day. Still, death every single day is more than likely bacterial infection. Those are random deaths. Every now and then also could be toxins in the water. This could be a bunch of different things, but instability with the pH from the lack of KH in the water, or too much KH in the water for Caridina, is definitely going to cause issues, and you'll be able to see that by looking at your shrimp and seeing that they're having issues molting. That's the for sure sign. Then you want to check for toxins. You want to make sure that your significant other isn't spraying Febreze in the fish room or something like that. You want to avoid chlorine or chloramine getting into the water by adding dechlorinator. We've been using Complete. I got a 5-gallon bucket of it, so I would like more syringes. So we can have syringes for outside and syringes for inside, please. But they've been working great. It's been real nice. And then heavy metals is another problem. And I try to go down an even deeper rabbit hole, and I didn't get a chance to like do enough research where I felt like I should be talking about it. But one of the things that we also notice is sulfur. And, sometimes we go and take a shower in some of the hotels and there's a little sulfur in the area, sulfur in the water and whatnot. And I'm not exactly sure how that affects shrimp, but I do know that the tubs that we set up on the side of the house all used to have sulfur, and I can definitely tell which ones had sulfur because it almost looks like little flakes of gold were coming out of it when I was cleaning them out. But it doesn't seem to be that big of an issue with shrimp, and I've never had anybody go, "Oh no, I can't keep shrimp. I got too much sulfur in my tap water," or something like that. So, but heavy metals, there's a lot of different things that can be in your water. That's why it's important to use some type of dechlorinator that also detoxifies and neutralizes heavy metals. Sprays I talked about, but also like soaps and contamination from like cleaning supplies and stuff like that. The shrimp are very sensitive, but those things can definitely affect your TDS too. And you want to get them out of your water as soon as possible. You can also, like, instead of toxins, though, this is a little cheat that I have for myself that I do. I use TDS as a guide for if I've used the chlorinator or not. So I haven't done this with Complete. I need to go and try this out with Fritz. But I know that with Prime, if I'm dosing the right amount of Prime, my TDS will be an extra 10 TDS. So I'll have 180 if it's not dechlorinated, and then 190 if I've actually properly added Prime into my water. So I don't do a lot of water changes that way, but inside I do have a bunch of tanks that are like by the back door, all the ones down the bottom of this rack down here. So that's 22 tanks right there that we use a trash can for when it's too hot outside, so we don't have to open the doors and have the hose running through the house and lose that AC. But other than that, I don't really need to chest out. I'm going through the shrimp tubs. I'm squirting a little bit in with the syringe as I'm doing the water changes now. What's up?
So I looked up the sulfur thing. So the only way you can really know if you're having sulfur issues, it usually happens when people have really thick substrate and create the anaerobic bacteria problems, which can be bacterial infections in shrimp. But it's that rotten egg smell you get when you disturb the substrate. They say normally don't test for it unless you're having deaths, or you can actually physically smell it when you move like a plant. But they say if you think that that's an issue, to poke the substrate in one spot, and it should be a strong sense of rotten eggs.
And I also think this is why snails do so well.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, you know what?
But it can come from dead, decaying plants too. If like someone had an entire tank die.
We're all friends here, Shelby. Maybe
No.
this is something that you should try doing before we add more shrimp to one of the tanks. Take a chopstick and like poke the substrate and see how much bubbles get knocked
I
out.
didn't even have that much substrate.
All right, but hold on.
Bacteria is
Hold
possible.
on now. The substrate's acting weird. We're finding things in the substrate that aren't even in the United States yet.
Yeah, I got a
But
whole new plant.
I also
A
think
couple.
that there's some substrates out there. Like we had one bag of ADA that smelled horribly. That Shelby was like, I don't know if we can do any more carotene shrimp. I was like, don't say that. Don't say I got such big plans, Shelby. Look at us now. You know what I mean? Like it was like one of the early bags, and it could have just been sulfur in the bag or in the water. It could have been. It could have been a reaction with the water that created sulfur with the tannins in the substrate. I don't know. I'm not diving that deep into chemistry, and that's why I didn't talk about sulfur. I also don't know how like raw sulfur affects the shrimp. I know the anaerobic bacteria is definitely no good, and that sulfur might be different. Like, is all sulfur bad?
No.
I don't know.
So there's sulfur that's moderate. That's fine for fish and shrimp. That's why they say like you don't normally test for it, because usually it's not in high enough amounts to bother the fish and shrimp. But decaying, like if your whole tank like died, all the plants were dead, and you didn't take care of it, that could cause a sulfur issue, anaerobic bacteria, and the substrate breaking down. Yeah, a lot of things like that.
All right. Also, another thing you should do is test both your tank water and your source water if you haven't done it already, and figure out where you're at. And if you're using tap water and your tank water is severely different than your tap water, then in my opinion, you're not doing enough water changes. You're tapping off with too much minerals and not enough RO water. Something is going to end up happening where that number is just going to keep on going up and going up and going up. And like I said, if it's too much sodium, if it's too much of some of these bad things that can make up your water, you could eventually end up just crashing your tank. And you could be like, I don't know what happened with that tank. It was good forever.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, it crashed.
It's the worst, because there's so many people on these forums that they have a really nice planted tank. It's been running for 3 or 4 years. nothing's a problem, and all of a sudden their shrimp just start dying and all this stuff. But it's like they were only topping off with regular tap water. They weren't doing water changes whatsoever. So like all of that combined, after time, it would start to cause issues where shrimp cannot survive. And I just, a lot of people just don't want to realize that that's actually the problem, is because, and I mean, we're talking 5 years you could have a tank that's booming with shrimp, because they do love minerals, especially Neocaridina. I've seen, like I say, 800 TDS in tap water in Tampa. They absolutely love it. I think that shrimp typically like it with more minerals in their water than less. I don't think that they like real soft water, but with that being said, it can climb up. I've seen people breeding them in the thousands. I've seen them a little bit longer, and they have success for some time, but after time, they just, like, the babies can't survive. It's too hard. It's almost like liquid rock that you're trying to have these little shrimplets survive. And yes, like the adults that have been in this tank for quite some time usually do well, but over time it just eventually starts to fail. And that's why we tell people then they can't do just a water change, because then they'll wipe out their entire colony, because then they're going from like 1,000 TDS down to whatever their tap water actually was, to 300. And that's why they're like, oh, well, water changes made it so much worse. And it's like, yeah, because you went from a really extreme to another extreme. That's why we say consistency is key when it comes to anything with water changes. I'm talking even like a water bottle a week, or topping off with RO water would still be a little bit better than, some of these people just topping it off with tap water and not caring. Like it will eventually build up. You can't do that for a lot of the fish are more sensitive when it comes to it, where shrimp will survive for a long time without that issue. But fish, you'll start to see them with bent spines. They'll not grow properly. You'll get some breeding in the tanks. And if you don't do water changes properly, you get a lot of deformed fish, and can't tell me otherwise. It's just improper water.
All right, last page of notes. We're getting through it. Red flags. All right, high TDS, low GH. You got the wrong minerals. And that's where I'm also going to start consider maybe testing out some of the other minerals that we haven't used, and right off the bat just seeing the GH to TDS ratio and seeing how that is, and also maybe testing some of the ones that we've already put on the shelf and see if that's part of the reason why we don't like them. Good TDS plus high nitrates, waste issues. Good TDS plus molting deaths equals GH issue. Good TDS plus random deaths equals toxins. Final takeaway, TDS is how much, not what's in the water. Minerals matter more than the number that the TDS is. It's more important to have stability than chase numbers. I always say you should acclimate to your tap water if your tap water is good. If your tap water is not good, then you should definitely start all over with RO water or distilled water, and then remix your water, or else you can end up with really high sodium. I think sodium was like the big takeaway for us for doing this research. And I think in the future, my shrimp talks is going to have sodium on one of the slides. Stop chasing TDS and start understanding what's exactly in your water, and then you can use your TDS as a reference, and then you can stop having to test your water all the time and only test it when there's an issue or when your reference is off. So that's it. That's all tonight's notes. Let's talk about this week.
Tube Dog, thank you so much. Member for 36 months said, why is there controversy about water changes? I think we talk about this a lot on one of the live streams we do about water. The importance of water changes is the title of it. I think a lot has to do with there's always a way that, especially when people are busy and they want to still enjoy the hobby, I understand the controversy of having to do weekly water changes. And even we've gotten away where we tell it's like bi-weekly. I think if you want to provide a good home, just like a dog, I could feed a dog a diet that keeps it alive. Is it going to be healthy? Maybe. Is it going to survive? Yes. Is it going to thrive? No. So it's the same thing with water changes. You take care of something, you keep it at a consistent water change regimen to keep the water pristine, clean, plants in there to keep it healthy, keep that biofilm going. It'd be the same if you have your dog and you want to feed it better to keep it alive longer. I think it's the same situation.
I got
Like,
a different take on it though. All right, because I think that there's so many situations and cases out there where somebody's tank was going just fine, and then they did a water change, and then the tank crashed, and they blamed it on the water change. And there's so many situations there where this gives people the fear of doing water changes. And then there's so many people that have run with that fear and taken it even a little further and have basically made it an entire method and taught others how to do it, and they've just adapted to that method, and they don't go back and find other ways of maybe doing it better. And I'm not saying one method is better than another, other than the analogy that I'm going to go. If you were in one room and somebody fed you and maybe rearranged your scenery a little bit, but you only had one air quality and you never got to recycle the air. I'm not even talking waste. Not even talking the bathroom situation and be able to flush that out. You can factor that in if you want.
ew.
But I'm just talking air quality. All right?
Yeah, your air quality is going to go down.
Just air quality alone. Would you rather somebody have a filter and some type of air coming in and coming out and some type of exchange or an air change, you want to call it, then I think you'd be crazy to say that you as a person would never want that. And why would you give that same thing to another creature is why I say figure out, don't be lazy, how to do proper water changes and care for them to where they can have the most ideal environments. You can do, plants and increase the oxygen and stuff like that, but you can't take hormones and all those other things that are in the air. And you're with a certain person too long and certain hormones, and you're gonna get annoyed, or
yeah,
eventually
15 years.
It's been 16, but
Has it?
yeah.
I forget. I feel like I've been missing a year of my life, and I blame this on COVID for sure. I feel like it's just gone. Like I feel like every year I've been a year behind.
But people don't realize that they went so long without doing a water change, and they only topped off, and that their water is no longer the same as the water that they used to set up the tank. And that water they used to set up the tank was probably the same water that they use for water changes. And when you do that and the tank changes, you're swinging the parameters way faster than they went gradually to the bad parameters that they're at. So you definitely want to set up the tank and start a regimen and do your water changes consistently and treat the environment as if it was your own. And I think you'll find that the shrimp are going to do a lot better. And I always say that if we weren't doing enough water changes, we would be buying and reselling shrimp like everybody else.
Did you breathe?
Breathe?
Yeah, like in between words.
I'm saying somebody replaces my oxygen quite frequently, so I'm thriving.
Discus and Shrimp Breeder here. I only use RODI water for that purpose. TDS always matters for shrimp. Yep, it definitely when it comes to Caridina. Fatherfish is Sarasota. Florida has deep well water. When water demand is high, they buy lake water from Bradenton, Florida. Difference is 8 pH with TDS of 350 from a well that's 6.0 pH and TDS of 50. No notice, which is insane to think about. You could kill all of your harder water shrimp. I'm more thinking of like all the African cichlids that people have. Like that would be detrimental. And that's what could scare people.
Your Corys would really like it. Your bettas and killifish might really like it,
but not all things.
That's why it's really
Killer
important.
Shrimp off.
It's really important. Just quick TDS. And if you've never used, can you go grab? I'll go grab it. I'll go grab it.
A TDS pen. How did we not have one for this talk though? That's crazy.
I blame you.
But that's scary. And I think that's a lot of times some people have things like this happen and they think that the water change is the problem. I personally have done something like this where I have done a water change and the water temperature was completely different and I damaged my fish. I didn't kill them, but I definitely damaged them. I worry about it and, it happens. Great videos. Been rushing to get dinner done so I could hop on here. Thank you so much for joining us.
No. My legs hurt so bad. When you get to my age, you shouldn't be slipping and sliding with the kids for an hour and a half. Yeah. All right, so the last thing that we went and purchased, I think we talked about it, but we went and did it, was a bunch of TDS pens. I got like 5 of them. I tested them all. They're all within 3 TDS. So I know they're all really good. They work really well. I think Shelby bought them for like $3 or $4 a piece.
No, what?
How much were they?
Like $13 a piece.
About
$3 a piece? You're insane. There's none of them that are $3 a piece anymore.
It used to be so cheap, Shelby.
I know. Nothing's like that anymore.
All
Nothing. Right. Everything has gone up in cost, and it's making it near impossible for mom and pop shops to do anything. I'm stressing about the shipping stuff. It's absolutely been the worst. Grant can attest for how overwhelmed. We'll talk about a little bit what I've done this week is I have started a new website.
Not right now. We got to talk about that in a little bit. Let's talk about the TDS pen. We're getting off the track. Shipping is stressful. You see where the shit goes with this? Hello, Shelby. You have a new profile. Are you finding out how much they're worth?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, she finds out how much they are. I'm going to show you how easy it is to use it. It's got an on button. You turn it on. It comes up at 0. You then dip it in the water, and it'll change. I'm going to sacrifice. I don't know if this is a clean one or not. It was just RO water. I haven't used anything. But you dip it in, and then our tap water. Oh, this is not tap water, though.
That was wrong. $7.99.
It's filtered tap water. It still comes out at 170-ish. It is moving around. 171. Every time I flash it, though, at the screen. This is harder to do than I thought.
Oh, my goodness.
171. All right. Sorry. I'm trying not to make water all over the place.
You're embarrassing me. They're $7.99. I'm sorry. Half the cost of what I said. I think I was just thinking of it because of how many I bought.
So they're $7.99?
Yes.
Okay.
I went to buy an $8.99 one. It came with 2 batteries. And I was like, oh, that's a steal. But you can only buy one. Did you just...
What's it?
No, that is not new. I guarantee you that has touched a tank.
So you don't want me to drink this?
No.
You'll think less of me?
171, that's coming out of our tap water? That was
I thought you were going to give me a different reaction. It's delicious.
You're disgusting. I live here in Atlanta, Georgia, and TDS is 44 from the tap, 6.8 pH. Yeah, we've heard that from a lot of people in Georgia. They got really, really soft water. I had given up my tap water 8.5 to 9 pH. Oh, and 300 to 400 TDS. That's crazy. Yeah, that's a little too high. Like, you could do really good with some cichlids, though. Like some Shelleys
I
would
think
be
it's still
happy.
good for shrimp, though. You tried it?
Some of it. And that 9, it's just like hard to get anything to like do really well because I just don't think when that pH gets above that high that the biofilm doesn't do as well.
Yeah, the pH
and you don't
really
have
high.
any plants.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, you don't have any plant success.
Our pH should be just as high coming out of
all mineral.
I'll have to test that.
Bugsy said, "Hey guys, so my tap water has recently changed. Now the tap water is 13 GH and 1 KH. I add salts usually, but now I'm worried that the GH will be way too high if I balance out the KH. What do you think?" That's a big difference there.
Oh, yeah. Again, I don't think the KH matters that much as long as it gets to 3. Mm-hmm. So if your GH doesn't go that high, maybe you can add some baking soda and mess around there.
You maybe have just the right minerals though, because 1 KH, like you don't really need. That would be the pH problem, wouldn't it be?
You could also use that and mess around with limestone instead to buffer your pH for neos or a coral. The
like
only reason why you need the only reason why you need KH is to neutralize your pH in an inert environment. If you're running like a Sulawesi tank, your pH would stabilize out without KH. So there's still KH in Sulawesi water.
What is your
but
pH?
It doesn't need to be there for neos.
That's kind of what I'm curious of. Is what pH do you have? Justin said, my tap water comes out and it's almost 400 TDS. I do have well water and water softener. I use the RO system for everything, and I mean everything. Yeah. Makes sense. Besides for drinking, unless you have an RODI.
I would use it for neos, though. I would give it a go.
My shrimp never do well until the plants are overgrown, like my red root floaters. I sent a picture to Grant.
Yeah, they don't even look like red root floaters anymore.
What? I didn't see the picture. I want to see it. But yeah, I agree that I think that heavily planted tanks are just like a paradise for any shrimp, to be honest. I've fish too. I actually have a lot more breeding that happens in a very heavily planted tank. Because what? What? Those don't look like red root floaters. That's crazy. That looks like a whole different vine, but the roots look right. That's so crazy. That's insane. You must have a really good light for that. That's got to be a strong light. But I say like my Goodeids, they have really heavily planted like Java ferns in some areas, and that's the only way the babies survive. Can you not? You slobbering all over me, dog. That's crazy. So I've been here for more than 3 years. Why do some people say topping off's better? Because you're not changing the water parameters and you live by the weekly/bi-weekly water changes.
So we live by it because I'm telling you, topping off isn't as good as leaving a lid on. And we've put a lid on and not needed to top off any of the tanks. And after a year of us not doing water changes in the house as much as I want to, the numbers were way down. Like I already talked about that in another live stream that we had just done. And that was 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, I think. And what?
That light is just no purpose to it. My whole face is just dark.
I'm sorry. We need to upgrade our lighting, but
it's like broken in 3 places, just hanging backwards on something.
I'm gonna say this: anybody that doesn't do their water changes, that isn't All right, hold on. I need to word this
Well, I
better.
think we've already
Anybody
talked
that
about
isn't
it.
running filters or water changes and just topping off, they're not breeding as much. They're not providing for their families selling shrimp. Like I've already said this, like there's plenty of people that are doing that method and that are on YouTube, and they're not shrimp breeders. They're not selling shrimp on their website. A lot of them will buy and resell shrimp, but they're not breeding and producing the numbers that they need with doing no water changes and no filtration. It's insane. I know Lucas has tanks with no filters. He sells a lot of shrimp. Those tanks aren't empty. Our Opal Ula tank, I've never done a water change, but you know what I have to do every few months? I have to make a bottle. I have to make a whole 5-gallon bucket worth of Opal Ula so I can
Brackish water.
put water
Opal
back into
Ula.
that tank. Oh my god, I'm all over
What's
the
wrong
place.
with you?
It's the sun.
I don't think the last few minutes you've made any sense.
My bad.
There's still breeding going on. It just isn't as much. So you could top off. You could have no filter in tanks, but you're gonna do better and have more success. So it really depends on what you want to do. Less work, less reward. It's fine. It's still rewarding. You still get shrimp that breed. You still get fish that breed. But are they breeding at a rate that it's worth it? It really depends on what you want to actually do in the hobby. So if you're not looking to, breed it out and sell them, then don't do it. Like you don't need to, but water changes, I will say, you'll end up having issues later in the long run if you don't do water changes. Aeration, not as much if you have enough plants in the tank that can provide oxygen for the tank, but you still need some sort of water agitation once in a while, and that's what water changes would do for you.
I think it's because everyone's water is different. I've seen a lot of shrimp setups now. A lot. Some of them I've been on the channel. Some of them we haven't posted. Some of them might be listening right now and they know who they are. The ones that are producing a ton of numbers, rest in peace to Plamsky's Shrimp Room, the Bloomfield Shrimp Room, tons of numbers. They're doing their water changes. The ones that aren't doing their water changes, their rooms just are not producing the amount of shrimp that they should be producing in numbers. And also a lot of people that are on the side of no, don't do water changes, they're also the ones that never enter the shrimp contest because their excuse is always, oh, my numbers are just not that good this year. Do some water changes. I bet you the numbers will go up. I guarantee it. So, yeah, that's my also take on it because Plamsky's water was so much different than ours, than Daryl's from
And
DET
Plamsky
Aquariums, which
was
is in Georgia.
So filtered.
Over filtered,
Crazy
over
filtered.
water changed,
And
over
we looked like
care of.
slacking when you looked at Plamsky's, and he had really high quality shrimp that were breeding faster than we can breed our high quality shrimp. So when you take it into toll, we don't do enough water changes or clean enough water on some of these to make them breed fast enough.
Plamsky's and other setups is why when we wanted to set up and expand outside, which some content's already coming out, but we'll have a lot of content coming out from our stuff outside. That's why they're all getting more filtration. They're getting more aeration. They're getting more minerals. They're getting more water replenishment than any of our other tubs ever, with less work. Yeah. So
a big thing was
stoked.
I actually had a lot of ponds that are out there, and I can tell, we got a whole string of ponds, and I go out there Mondays and Saturdays, guaranteed usually, to go out there. I feed them. I catch the orders, and as I'm catching orders is when I usually cull and start throwing them into their Skittles pond or their wild. And, these are filtered. They have aeration. We do water changes on them, but water changes staying steady. Filtration gets unplugged. And I tell you that that pond does not do as well as some of my other ones because of the filtration stop. And it's not pretty. It's very frustrating because then I'm like, I didn't get to it in time because cross contamination. I didn't want to touch it, and I got to go buy all these shrimp, and then we got to go do this. We're very busy sometimes. So I'll say, like, one of the ponds, I broke a filter. It just stopped. I didn't replace it. That stopped breeding as much as the other ones. And it's same with the water changes. And if we didn't keep up on it, sometimes they get overly done. These are outdoor too, so they make a little bit of a difference too, to make sure you stay up on those water changes being outside.
Now, we did prove for over a year now that the shrimp outside do not need a filter to survive, breed, thrive, and produce a lot of numbers. But what that pond did have, though, the entire time was an air stone. And our red cherry pond, fire reds, painted fire red cherry adults for our breeders. Good luck finding the shrimp in that tank tomorrow. I did a 90% water change on that tank
so much.
today. Tomorrow it will be deep dark green, and it's so annoying to try and catch shrimp out of that because I have to do a water change on it. We have to catch the shrimp right then and there, and then I'm surprised that the water doesn't go green in the bags when we catch them. Like, I don't know how that pond gets so green so fast. I'm dying to put some Daphnia in there.
We'll have to show a video because it's pretty funny. But I mean, it really just has an air stone in it, and it's just aeration. That's all. Like, you don't need, because we do enough water changes. We don't necessarily need the filtration. Obviously, it helps a little bit, but that pond has been doing fantastic, and it is just a forever air stone. Is that what's in that one?
I did buy
the Skittles,
a Swiss Tropics filter for it, but I was supposed to glue something to the bottom of it.
Can you?
And then what?
What these rigged filters out there?
It wasn't rigged.
Is that what is that stupid filter? No, you're not putting that filter in there. It's not happening. I'll never be able to catch a shrimp in there again.
I want to, Shelby.
Is it the one that's like this big?
It's like tall.
It's so stupid.
It's tall.
That's not happening. I'll put that on a 55 before I put that out in my pond, and I can't catch anything.
I don't even know where the tube for it is anymore, so you're good. I'm going to have to buy another one and use that filter for darrow worms.
Oh, yeah. Bugsy said, also, don't dip the tester in too far. Lost a couple that way. We've actually dropped a couple in a tank. This one's actually pretty tight compared to the rest.
We've dropped them fully into the RO water bin.
Oh, I don't do that. You weirdo.
Well, I don't test tanks with them, so... How do you drop it in the tank, and I'm the weirdo for dropping it in the RO water?
Well, because you put... Oh, it does have...
Don't remove my protection.
I just have to laugh.
I had to spend extra money to get that on there.
There's a little film here. I have to laugh because we had that car for our Equinox for quite some time, and I wonder if the people noticed that we never peeled off the little protection off the touch screen of the car. It's for like all things. We just left it on there. And our laptop we have now, also, we've had this for 5-6 years at least. Oh, it's got to be longer than that.
Yeah,
at least 6 years, I think. And it still has the little protectant on top of it. So, like, if we peel...
All the stickers are right here.
One of his friends was helping me work on the computer and was like, you know, this is to, like, you could take this off. I'm like, yeah, no, why would I do that, though? My laptop's going to be brand new, even if it breaks. It's going to look brand new still. So it was funny. But, I want to take this off now, though. I got to take this one off.
And we're all caught up in chat. Oh my! I thought we were a full.
No
Rico.
one likes you anymore because you keep talking about water changes.
Listen, he
and
said,
no one wants to do it.
Preach on! Thanks for the valuable info. Thank you, Fish
The
Dreams.
one person.
All right. Well,
no one else wants to do water changes.
I would love to
we
talk.
We all want it to be magical and not have to clean it. That sounds good, right?
How you doing, Wolf?
Wolf Knight, thank you so much. Member for 2 months said, "Yo, what's up?"
Well, we're about to dive into our weekly update. It's been really nice. We're getting ready for a few shows. I think no, it was Thursday. Started it off. We went to a couple of nurseries and we got a bunch of orchids and irises and some garlic, which I thought was an iris, but it's actually garlic. And I was like, oh, well, I bought this purple plant for Shelby, I guess. And then I found out when I was ordering plants today for the show next weekend this weekend. By the way, if anybody is going to be at the North Carolina Charlotte show on Saturday and you want to place a pre-order for Aquaporium, you better do it. What it's called? Yeah, you better do it by Wednesday. Otherwise, we will not be able to get it ready. We're catching everything on Thursday. Also going to be going, getting a bunch of tanks and stuff from Harley when we go get plants. So, but we got a bunch of irises, and the garlic I found out was actually a pond plant. So I'm like, all right, we can sell that as intended. And we're just kind of like spreading out and dipping our toes into something else. Our van is an extra car payment essentially, and we're down to one vehicle, and that vehicle is a gas guzzler. So we are trying to do everything we can to cover some of those costs and prepare going into the end of the year and putting away all of our pennies and whatnot. But making as much money at these shows as possible. We already do some irises and whatnot at some of the shows, so having full pots of them, and these ones are blooming. We handpick them out ourselves, and they're from local nurseries, not like hours away. These are in our town, so we're supporting our local farmers here, and they're really nice quality plants.
Yeah, and we had been there years and years ago, and Grant actually got me like Mother's Day orchids then. But we have been wanting to branch out into some different plants. We just happen to be close to these ones. There's a couple different styles and things we want to do for more for like aquarium related, but we just happen to enjoy these. So,
and I see a question here. When you say don't chase numbers, then try to match or keep the TDS in the bucket lower than the TDS in the aquarium. So whatever you're mixing your water for your aquarium should be the exact same every single time. And then your water in the aquarium should match up relatively close to that. If you're topping off with RO water or you have a lid on the tank and you're doing your water changes every 10 or every week or every 2 weeks and you're doing at least 10 to 20%, then your numbers should stay relatively close together. If you're not, and you're not letting your minerals dissolve, and your tank number is higher or lower than the water that you're mixing, then something's going on, and you're not mixing your water enough. You're going to have, inconsistent numbers. You want to make sure that your tap water or your RO water that you mix is the same every single time. That's the water that goes into your aquarium every single time, and your numbers should be relatively close. I say don't chase the numbers by, you don't want to go and alter your tap water to try and adjust it and mix RO water with it every single time to get slightly lower TDS. You're probably better off just using your tap water without having to mix it or alter it in any other way, if your tap water has all the numbers that it needs. Hopefully that was a quicker, short breakdown of to help you out. So that was Thursday, and that was pretty much our first time filling up the van. We didn't take the seats out yet for that, but all the rows in between all the seats had plants decked out in them all. Then on Friday, this weekend was Reefapalooza, and we don't do anything saltwater, but one of my best friends in the hobby, Harley from PNW Customs, was going and needed some help with getting everything from the airport and setting up his booth, and I offered to help, and I knew that Harley has a lot of stuff for his booth, a lot of tanks, aquariums, and stuff, frag racks. So we took the seats out of the van for the very first time. It was kind of like what we would do when we're running a show. So I got like a teaser and a feel of how it was. It was nice because Shelby got a really nice cooler a while ago. We haven't used it at all. I'm bringing the cooler. I'm filling it up with a bunch of drinks. I'm putting a bunch of frozen water bottles in it. And one of the worst things with setup is you never have enough drinks. Like, there's no water. There's no water fountains that are anywhere nearby. And even if there is, sometimes they're just gross and you don't want to drink out of them anyways. So I brought enough waters and whatnot so we could set up and not having to worry about that. But I got Harley from the airport. We went to air cargo, got all of his boxes, which easy to pack with all of his luggage, everything like that, into the back of the van. I easily could have fit more boxes in or more luggage. It wasn't even close to being filled up. And then we got some food real quick. Of course, got some ice cream because it's Harley, and we always go and get ice cream. It's not right if we don't go and get ice cream. We had to settle for rolled ice cream. It was the only place that was open. That wasn't on a drive, or there was a bunch of food truck stands that were closed. The rolled ice cream one though was open, so we grabbed that. Then went to Reefapalooza, set it up. I also had there's a couple of companies that do freshwater and saltwater, so I got with Carib Sea so I can set up a couple of tanks for Dallas. I talked with another company and possibly setting up some tanks for them. And it was always great to see longtime friends and stuff like that. One of my childhood friends, his older brother, is the owner of Lunar Aquariums, and he makes Luna Aquariums and makes custom sumps and frag racks and stuff like that. So it's always cool to catch up with him.
Telling him you said that.
And I'd also seen his other older brother at the ice cream store the night before. So small world.
You know what's funny is I never see any one of my friends that I went to school with, but I see your friends that you went to school with way more. We just run into them. But I think it's because we actually have more things in common with them than most of my friends.
I was going to say, because my friends are cooler. That's why.
Yeah, I guess.
But after set up, we went to Korean barbecue. After that, we went to Rainforest Cafe to get desserts because he's got those traveling tanks. I didn't want to brag about just going to get desserts, all right? If you don't know Harley, he makes these little tiny micro tanks, and he's got a reef tank, and it's been all over the United States. He took it through the airport, and his video blew up, and he's been selling these tanks like crazy. But him and Mike both have a traveling, roaming reef tank, and they like to bring it to different places. And in different environments and get videos and stuff like that. And it's honestly really cool to see the crowd, the staff, and everybody like that react to the aquariums, because there's a lot of people that don't even think it's real, and then they go, hold on, I don't see like a TV. I think this thing's like fluid all the way through. Like, what is this? Is this real? Like, you see all of that on their face in the matter of seconds. It's pretty funny to watch it all happen. But it was a great night. Came home, and then the next day, we didn't have any orders that were going out. So, what was that when we did the? No, that was Sunday. What did we do Saturday?
Work. I don't know what we did. Oh, that's what I did. I worked Saturday. I worked on the website.
All right. Well,
I don't know what you did.
You can talk about that then.
You were outside. You were hooking up the sponge filters. That's what you did Saturday. I was inside.
Okay.
You were outside hooking up sponge filters.
So a little update on the progress
video.
that we had outside. We've got.
Hold on. I would like to say Jenna hit it exactly, kind of like wrapped up what we were talking about. I would think you don't need to chase specific numbers, but you do need to know what's going in your water, and you need to observe your tank or anything weird going on. Exactly. And Fish Dream said any new plants going to be on the website. I'll talk about that in just a minute. You go back to what you were doing with the backyard.
So all of the totes are plumbed. They're all running. I got the filter. I think I unboxed it last week on the live stream. So I got that hooked up the next day. I got everything all running. I drilled a bunch of airline tubing. Layla actually helped me put all the airline tubing on. We had a bunch of the Forever Air Stones that we dropped in some of the tanks just to stop any mosquito larvae from coming up. I did get 10 of the 150-gallon Hikari sponge filters. And when me and Shelby talked about the one red cherry tub that is doing just fine on an air stone, all of those tubs are not just going to have a 150-gallon sponge filter and 175 gallons of water, and it's a shrimp tank, so bioload's low. But it's also going to have an air stone, and it's also going to be on a continuous, almost continuous drip from our RO wastewater. So it's definitely more than enough filtration for what we're going to be doing, and it's not going to be anywhere near maximum amount of shrimp that goes into it. It'll probably be half. So the filters are going to be more than enough. I'm still going to get different filters for some of the other tubs. Like some of the tubs I might run 210-gallon sponge filters or 200-gallon. I don't know. I got to look into some different sponge filters and some combos. If you're paying attention to some of our short videos, we did drop 2 of Corey's massive aquarium co-op sponge filters into our 2 larger tubs. And those also got an air stone. A bunch of the tubs already got carob seed, samurai soil in them. I am waiting for some more samurai soil or other gray or black substrate to finish the rest of the tubs. But we have all of those shrimp that were also in that other video. We kind of like used those. Those were leftovers from the swap meet from Tampa. And then I put those into the tank, and then I separated them out. It was actually really nice for me to be able to do. Shelby's got a picture of the filter real quick. Wait, why is that on Facebook? Did you post that on Facebook already?
No, I sent it to you.
Okay.
Messenger.
I get it now. But I selected the shrimp, especially the oranges. The oranges I got from one of my club members that bought our shrimp originally. Then somebody in the video said this video is a scam. That's not a big filter. That's just a really tiny person. And then Shelby wanted to answer that with this. So I don't think it shows it that well. Like,
I don't know
so
how to fix it, but
that's funny. I don't care who you are. It made me laugh for a good while.
The slides are killing me.
Yeah, Shelby worked hard on them slides. Like, I saw a couple renders of this before she made that. But we have oranges, yellows, blues, reds, all in a tub now. I know we didn't cycle it. Da 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 da. There's going to be plenty of biofilm in that 275-gallon tub for the shrimp to be able to get graze on. There's plenty of filtration going on. If I wanted to drop a little food or some bugs or something fell in the water, they're going to be just fine. There's been several times where we've had to rush some tubs where somebody just sent me brand new shrimp when they found out that I was setting up the greenhouse many eons ago. I was like, well, I'm throwing these black rose in right away, and they did really, really well that year. So, again, I don't recommend people doing this because you can overfeed, and a lot of people get new shrimp and they want to see them, and the only way to see them is to feed them, and then they feed them and then they kill them, and it's a horrible cycle. So, there's enough water that I don't have to worry about that. And what is this? Okay, so I adjust the water to 100 TDS when mixing salty bee shrimp salt in a bucket. Is 5 minutes enough? No. So we usually recommend that you mix it overnight. If you have a pump for it, that is ideal. If not, I used to have a stir stick that I would keep, and I would walk over to it every so often. I would give it a good stir, especially before bed, and then I give it a good stir right when I wake up, and that gives it some time to mix a little bit before I go and use it for whatever water tanks changes I'm doing. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. Next question.
Stephen P. 2003, member for 44 months. Thank you so much. That is insane. The person that's making our membership thing was at a show this weekend, but we are in contact with her, and she should be able to get that and let us know the logistics, because like she's got to make specific molds for these and colors, and I don't know what else she just said, but everything's got to be specific. But when we looked at pricing before, I think it was like realistic. It wasn't like outrageous.
No, it was what we were aiming for, but she's at AGA.
Oh, is that where she was?
Yes.
Oh.
And when I was at Riva Palooza, I saw several members of businesses that run booths at all these other shows, and I had like 4 people be like, "Why aren't you at AGA?" And I was just like, "It's in California. Shelby doesn't really like flying, and I'm setting up ponds." So yeah, that's what I did on Saturday. I went home and I finished drilling and setting up all the filters that arrived.
Welcome in, Craig's, and member for 39 months. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Filter isn't big enough. That's funny. Or air stone. Yeah, it does. It actually tells you to add an air stone, just like all their other.
No, it's got an air stone already in it.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I guarantee it. It had an air stone.
Did it?
Yeah.
I guess we never took it apart.
Yeah,
It was already
there's an air
pre-assembled.
stone in it.
Okay.
I guarantee it. Yeah.
It's just weird because the side of the box says to add an air stone. Now we need to check it. We ain't getting that filter back out.
I mean, it's not that
We
bad.
need to drill like a bigger hole for that when we need to clean that.
No.
Oh, you just want to squeeze all of it just like you do these tanks?
Yeah.
It stresses me out. Stressing me out. But anyways, so a little bit with what I did this weekend. Hopefully things, it's going to take me some time. I'm actually taking my time building this website because we already have a website. I don't need to rush building the new one. If you ask for plants, yes. When we get back from these shows, that's a big thing I want to make sure that we get on the website. Should just be on our normal website, and then eventually transferred everything over to the new website. We did buy the domain for the new website so that we're actually thegardenofeater.com instead of TGOE Shrimp. We couldn't get it at the time.
But that nursery,
Yeah.
I don't remember, from Arizona, we got you. It's ours now.
But so I like to share a little bit of the website that I've already been building. This is it. Yeah, share. There we go. So it's a little bit more, trying to get a little bit more professional with it. Hopefully it'll be a little bit easier to go through here. I'm going to narrow these down a little bit. Obviously, this took me a full day. And then I hit refresh on this and lost all my work. But like it'll be a little bit easier for people that are like beginners, first time ever on our website, people getting into Caridina. And then, of course, when you want to get different specialty shrimp. But it's kind of a little bit. But as you can see, I'm actually trying to work and fix the website. I know a lot of people don't think I am, but I'm trying to work on shipping has been my kind of like a stop point right now, because like I'm at this point where I'm adding things onto the website, but then I have to manually do the shipping cost. They are getting absolutely outrageous with USPS. Obviously, it's probably because like the gas prices are going up, so they had to raise all their prices for shipping. So it's a little frustrating.
Cool.
Trying to figure this all out because I want to be able to have affordable shipping, and there's people that are doing it for like $75 free shipping for $55 or something, and I'm like, that's outrageous. Like, I'm paying $20. Can you stop that? Driving me nuts. I'm paying $20 in shipping now to ship out. So like now we're again paying more to ship out than what we're charging. And it's driving me absolutely. I can't keep up with the amount of times that they're raising their cost. Where like to me, 15 was okay. Like that's, it's an easy, let's go. Now it's ridiculous. And finding a shipping company that's easy with, said boxes, it just gets a little difficult, especially when it comes to live goods, because yes, I could do Ground Advantage. That's like half the cost for like a brown box, but that takes 6 to 7 days in shipping. Where USPS priority is like 3 to 4 days. And sometimes it's not even that. It's like a week in shipping. I don't want to do ground and it be, it's going to take 6 to 7 days, but then they get backed up and it's 2 weeks in shipping now. And yes, they might survive, but it's just been a struggle to figure everything out, because then it's different for each customer, each bag. And then of course our dry goods have been a big issue. If someone just wants to buy shrimp food, it's always been so expensive. $15 for shrimp food is crazy. I do refund the cost if I use like a small box for them. I'll refund the shipping difference, but most people don't read that when they're going to the website. So it's just been getting a little frustrating in general, and just trying to figure it all out and get it a little bit easier for people. And Tube Dog says selling on Amazon. No, I won't. Maybe we can't keep up with our own selling, and I don't know much about Amazon selling. I know that I just don't want to deal with Amazon. I deal with Amazon through my work, and I just don't want to deal with them personally yet. And I don't think that it's a value for us, considering most people are not going to read that our shrimp are homebred, and they're going to see the hundreds of others that are importing shrimp at literally a penny, and then reselling it for like $1, and then they're not making much because half of their stock dies, and then it's just crazy the amount of it just aggravates me on Amazon, honestly, because most of those breeders are not good, and then they get good reputation because some of their shrimp make it. Some of them are nice and big and beautiful, but they don't actually breed or reproduce, and it just drives me crazy.
Said it was a joke because they had the 2-day shipping.
I wish.
I don't know how much of a cut that Amazon takes out, and we could just do the 2-day shipping through UPS. So that's what Harley does, and we're going to be looking into that option. So,
yeah. But man, it's so aggravating. And yes, and we also compete with Amazon on the 2-day shipping, so it even makes it even more aggravating when someone comes to our website and they're like, "Oh, $18.50," and I'm over here now paying more, and it's like, well, it's expensive. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm trying my best. We're two people that I've never run a business. I didn't go to college. I don't know all the ins and outs of running a business. And even if I did
run a business, but I cut grass.
Yeah. It's a little bit different.
No shipping.
Yeah. Could you imagine having to ship everything? Like ship your entire lawnmower to their yard and just mow their yard? That'd be crazy. It's but I am working hard. Everything should have updated photos on the new website. It'll be like group photos of the shrimp, like what you'll get. Might vary, of course, in a little bit, but like sizing especially. But hopefully, I'm trying my best to do something to make it a little bit more efficient. But so I feel like everything is working against me every time I try to do something. Like, the website would have been one thing if I could just figure out. I do think Shopify is what I'm doing it through, because BigCommerce is what we use, which has always been real easy for me. And then when I got to Shopify, it was very overwhelming, trying to figure everything out, because it's a completely different system. So like making sure the tax and the quantity and how much we have is totally different. But I am finding out, thank you AI for helping me. It really does lend a hand and helping me build the website, and then telling and figuring out the shipping for me, so that we will be able to provide lower cost shipping for our shrimp foods, which has been like my biggest downfall of shrimp foods, because people don't want to pay that money, So
now we've got 18 minutes to talk about the fun stuff that we did yesterday, because that was an entire family event.
Oh, yeah. Guys.
It took the entire day.
Thanks, Tuco.
But we got pretty much all of the old shrimp tubs. Since we're working on the new tubs, I said, all right, once those are done, I'm going to go back and I'm going to start refurbishing some of the old tubs. There's still some things that, like the soil and some of the other tubs, that I really want to work in. But yesterday, we went through and we did our full water changes on all the tubs like we always do. But all of the filters got completely, how should I say this, maintenance. So all the gunk got washed out of them. And we only do this, I don't think we did it last year. I don't think we did it the year before. We don't usually do it where we go through all of them. Usually I just tackle one at a time. But
whenever you redid the pond system with Mark, is the last time I washed all the filters out. That might have been 2 years ago.
Insurance was like 2-3 years ago now. Yeah,
2 years ago.
So, but it's very rare that I even have to do it on one of the filters. But last year, Shelby broke a couple filters, like she said. I believe I broke one of the filters
they all hang out
also.
Underneath the filter,
And
so it's kind of hard.
Some of them, once we got those other ones clogged, weren't running as well. And I think that's why, once the pressure got taken off of those other ones, that they clogged up. So I went ahead, and any of the filters that didn't have the bases on them. Some of them were running fine and just didn't have the bases on them. So
well,
we re-put together
here's what
all
happened with
of the
those.
filters.
When I go to catch shrimp like to hide under the filter. Say I need 30 shrimp from one tub. I can usually get most of the shrimp from when they eat, but a lot of them hide under the filters. So what I'll do is take it by its airline, and I'll yank it up and scoop underneath it. And sometimes the whole filter just decides to come apart. And when it's a giant IBC tote, I am not tall enough, or I don't have long enough arms to get in there and get them. So then it just stays apart. And then I don't know what to do because it is very inconvenient.
I use the net to get all the pieces out.
Okay, so sometimes I try to do that. But then you have a bunch of foam that kicks up or substrate, and then all of a sudden I can't see anything. Yeah. So then I'm just absolutely done with it at that point.
It is much easier to do it when you've drained 90% of the water.
Yes, and then
a couple of the weights I could not find until we drained the water.
I don't want to be up to my neck in water trying to get this stupid filter back together. I just give up.
But we didn't just stop there. We also took the blower and blew off all of the leaves, all of the pollen and everything. And by the way, mind you, today Mother Nature was like, "Ha ha, got you," because it was littered all over. I blew it all off.
I know.
I took care of it again.
I was so mad.
I did it today, so I'll have to probably do it tomorrow to stay on top of it until the tree just stops pooping, and then once it's done pooping, then I'm gonna do the pool. I've told everybody this every year. I always do. I always get like, "Oh, it's warm. Let's go get in the pool and clean it and take care of the koi and turtles." No, Grant. Wait. Patience is key. Wait for the trees to stop pooping. Once the trees stop pooping, then I can clean out the pool, and I will have a much cleaner pool all year round because I'm doing the maintenance after the pooping is done. We lost like 7 people from me talking about it.
About poop.
It's funny.
No one cares about
those 7 people have no humor.
No, they just don't like.
I don't think it's so deep. Anyways,
they're here to just see if you say something stupid.
We also went ahead and trimmed all of the trees, cut them back so those tubs can get the full amount of sun, warmer water, more babies, faster growth, etc. So those tubs are all immaculate. And then it also gave me enough time with Shelby also helped with Jaden. Layla actually did a lot of Jaden's work before Jaden even got out to it, but we finished the whole back half of the house and got it raked up and the weed blocker fabric material laid down. Ran out of staples, asked Shelby to order more staples. She did not. Should have been here today, but they were not because she did not order them. So instead, we went to Home Depot today. We bought some staples. And then we also bought 6 milliliter plastic sheeting, and we made a slip and slide for the kids in the backyard. So not only do we have room for ponds, but the kids also got a bunch of room, and we quite enjoyed it. And I'm hurting. I should not have gone down it nearly as many times as I did, but
I still can't believe that you could do it.
But the air
sure struggled.
The air adjuster valves are here. I've got a bunch of ponds that I'm going to be setting up right in that row that Layla and Jaden was running down. So before there's a couple of rusty IBC totes, I thought it would be good if the kids got some used to it. But all the IBC totes are going to go up towards the other IBC totes, and then it's going to be all barrels and muck buckets in the greenhouse. So the greenhouse is left. The tiki bar still needs like a revamp, which I don't know if I want to do that or just like save it so like when the time comes we can just knock it down. It's probably the best thing to do for the market value of our house, I think, is just get rid of it.
Yeah, whenever we're not there, because obviously it just protects our pumps right now.
Yeah, we're using it, but once we've moved all of the tanks and the ponds and everything, we need to like make the house sellable. So I think that's what we will end up doing. So making the as easily to remove as possible is probably the best bet. So, but me and Shelby did discuss today that the greenhouse may possibly get a shade cover over the top of it. And then that would allow us to do a lot more plants, orchids and house plants and stuff like that we could, easily water and take care of. A lot of also the aquatic plants, like the Anubias and swords and crypts would do really well in that house as well. And it would get all of our stuff confined. And then maybe I can even put like a basketball hoop in the back where the patio is instead of all the tubs. Little one for Myra.
Ballin'.
So
Sorry. She was adorable too. She was absolutely loving it, but it was a little chilly out there for her, so Daddy did have to come and take her in. But yeah, did you say that we were pressure washing? I didn't listen to the whole stuff. We pressure washed all the tubs. That was very rewarding. I did cut my knee open because I wasn't paying attention. It's not as strong as the pressure washer, like the one you had the one time when landscaping. Like I could have cut a toe off with that thing. That was not. This one's a lower one, so I was like not worried about it. But man, I just should have paid attention. Just sliced right through. But it was rewarding. So nice to clean up the ones we had because they weren't like dirty, but like they just get over time. There's bushes for our fence, which I absolutely hate. It's too much maintenance. But they just kind of get dirt all over the top. So it's really nice to just like clean it up, clean the covers up and everything. It looks really nice over there. It's, it was a battle when I had to get some orange shrimp because the bushes had grown over the IBC toe. So I couldn't like lift the, we have these covers over them. Couldn't lift it back far enough that it was just kind of like battling me. Like the sticks would hit it and go back. And I'm like, I had a whole cup of shrimp one time. I had caught 20 shrimp and the branch was blowing in the wind, blew the tarp and dumped the entire cup back into the pond. And I was like, oh, cool. Just an hour worth of my time gone. I had to catch all the shrimp again. So I'm very happy that the bushes are trimmed and I can work much better in some of those tubs because we also have an empty tub that shrimp didn't do well for some reason. But I'm thinking of a specific shrimp that I want to put in there and get going again on that side because it's a nice solid pond. It just needs to be repopulated. And Craig said, how many goes did Grant have Shelby of the slide? He went multiple times through that slide.
Became a mini contest with the kids on who could go the fastest, who could go the furthest, who could do the most tricks. And all the tricks that I wanted to do, I was too old. I could not do it. I could not.
Like you feel really old when you do things like, especially like slip and slide. I feel like I've been working out again this year. I've been trying to take care of my health. And I'm thinking like every day I feel a little bit better. And as soon as I go out to that slip and slide, I was like, I am not doing better. I am not good at all. Like I can't do a slip and slide. Mind you, I played a lot of sports, very sport heavy. So I'm like trying to do like a baseball or softball slide. And I'm like, can't do that. My hips are really bad. I could be out for like a week or a month with that. So they try to slide on my knees, and I'm like, nope, that ain't happening. Like, I try to slide on my belly. It was not happening. Everyone would just laugh at me every time I tried. And I don't fall gracefully onto the slip and slide. So everyone was just like, every time mommy hit the slip and slide. But Grant looked like he was a teenager again, just in a dad bod.
I'm looking forward to when the kids get home from school tomorrow.
Yeah, we've made a new pact that we're trying to get something done inside and something done outside and like something on the website every day. So it's a little fun. Easy V Rider said getting the outdoor tub set up here in New York. Nice. On the search for some affordable IBC tubs in my area.
I have already said this some, but maybe you have not heard it. I will not be doing any IBC totes in the future. They kind of break down a little bit too fast. They're too much to clean, and for the price and how long it takes to prepare them to make them into suitable tubs, I would have just rather taken the money at the time and instead of 2 IBC totes, gone and bought 1 Rubbermaid tub.
They are much nicer, and I do think so. Speaking of that, though, the IBC totes, as they are nice, and we happen to get them. Yes, the plastic gets brittle fast. It's not been fast; it's been years. If we
the cut parts
the
of them
cut
get
ones,
brittle fast.
Yeah, so we cut the tubs thinking we could stretch out and make our money go longer. Cut them in half, flip them up. They glued the bottom of the lid on the bottom, and then we had 2 tubs out of 1. And those ones are starting to deteriorate. Might not be as bad in New York because your sun's not as bad, but besides the point of them starting to break, which we've had them out there for like 6 years. I mean, they're worth their money usually. But the Rubbermaids are so much easier to, 1, catch everything out of, 2, to clean and move if you need to, where IBC totes aren't really functional for 1 person. So like if you see, I think Lucas did a video and he had his black Rubbermaid tubs. I don't think we've ever done a video on our tubs. Yes, we have. There's got to be something somewhere, like videos on our tubs outside.
Yeah, one of our better videos.
Like our video.
Yeah, we have our videos on how we do them, and I just did an update.
The Rubbermaid tubs are in that. That's what I'm talking about. It's got to be in the update because I swear we put the new ones in there.
I think so.
But yeah, they're really nice Rubbermaid. They just seem to be easier.
You just need a good covering. So if I were to do those out of a greenhouse, I'd have to make some type of like box over the top that I could lift up to harvest them, or make like a shade house, which is why I think I don't even know if we talked about it, but me and Shelby had thought about putting a shade over the greenhouse.
You just talked about
and
that, like
then
5 minutes ago.
Maybe we
fully
wrap it up and are able to keep dragonflies out of it.
You shouldn't have drank that TDS water.
Oh, that's what it is.
That's what it is. Something's wrong. But yeah, in the direct sun. From my comment earlier, I actually do have an African cichlid tank and got very lucky with the water for that tank. Yeah, see, they love that harder water. And I would say that Shelleys are also a really rewarding cichlid that would like that too. So if you ever decide to do something else. The cichlid tank is when started the addiction. Dad always had shrimp and I was fascinated. Now I'm 5 tanks deep with shrimp. That's funny. That's crazy though. Like, because my dad never had shrimp and, like, I didn't grow up. So, we're starting a new generation where, like, kids are going to be like, oh, yeah, my dad had a shrimp tank. That's crazy to think about because it's not very, like, they've been around, but they weren't popular like fish when I was growing up. Like, shrimp weren't a thing. There was, like, ghost shrimp and stuff, but they were feeders. They weren't
keeping them in your tank. They were feeding your Jack Dempsey. They were feeding your ox.
Yeah, but especially, I mean, when the first time I ever heard about shrimp, I asked if Grant was breeding them for my Jack Dempsey.
For the Oscars.
No.
It was the Oscar at the time.
Your Jack Dempsey. Oh. I didn't have Oscars with you.
The way you said Jack Dempsey, and you're wrong. Yes, I'll show you the original post of our shrimp with the Oscars. We had Oscar. Remember the Oscar jumped out in the middle of the night, and we didn't know the Oscar jumped out, but it's in the middle of the night, and I'm hearing.
But that wasn't when we had shrimp.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
We had shrimp in that bedroom. 2
Those
tanks.
are feeder shrimp. I got ghost shrimp. Those are ghost shrimp.
You had red and a blue.
No, not in that bedroom.
Just red.
Because that was years ago.
I'm telling you, you're gonna look up on the shrimp farm, and you go find it.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna see the Jack Dempsey
I
tank
never had tanks
with
in
my
that room
Dragon
until Layla told me
aerator
I could
in that
have
tank.
shrimp.
We had a tank in that room.
No, it was
You're
right
insane.
there. No.
And we had all the
We can't even go back on the shrimp farm for me to prove you're wrong.
Oh, you're driving me crazy.
But you're wrong. It was right here. And the breeder boxes were right there. And those Oscars.
We had tanks before we started putting tanks out here.
Not red cherries.
We even had tanks over here before we had tanks over here.
No, not over there.
You're insane.
No.
You're insane.
No, because the first tanks that we had right there were Messina's 55 gallons.
I know that.
And then before that, we had one single
we
solo
had shrimp
Oscar
way
tank.
before that.
No.
We had shrimp way before that.
Feeder shrimp, but not red cherries.
Good to know. The black tubs definitely do look nicer. Always trying to make it more affordable. Yeah. See, that's where we had. I think the IBC totes were cheaper, right?
So the IBC totes are cheap. Yes, they were $50
no,
for
they're not
200.
Always cheap. We just happen to get them cheap.
No, they're. You can always find IBC.
So the
totes
shrimp
that
farm's
are gonna be
completely
cheap.
gone.
Yeah.
No.
We did the one. If you really want to try me, but we did one live stream where I walked through it.
Walk through what?
The journal.
Oh, that's crazy.
So we have
I'm
one
not
live
doing all
stream
that.
that cements that, but
Were you talking?
I don't even have this up here. I didn't get my Facebook until like 3 years after. So you might have it, but I'm telling you right now, it was Oscars. I got my first shrimp off of eBay. There was a 55-gallon tank right here next to the White Entertainment Center.
I almost typed in shrimp instead of Shelby. Oh, what the heck? There it is.
And then I put breeder boxes on it for the shrimp. And I was going to keep them in the breeder boxes. And I thought I could breed them in there. And then I moved them into the hallway. And the hallway was the first place that I ever had red cherries.
Absolutely not. You are crazy.
No.
It was in the bedroom in a 10-gallon tank.
In whose bedroom?
That bedroom. That's what I'm saying. You're crazy.
What bedroom?
We got rid of the chameleons.
Whose bedroom?
Yours.
That's my bedroom. Whose bedroom? Where are the tanks?
Layla's.
No. When it was my room, when my mom still lived here, I had Jack Dempsey's and I had feeder shrimp.
I had the Jack Dempsey. And it wasn't feeder shrimp. It was red cherries.
No, I did not have red cherries when we had the tanks in my bedroom.
You might be right.
I am right.
It might be feeder shrimp that I'm getting confused with.
It was just feeder shrimp and feeder guppies. And we were breeding those for my Jack Dempsey.
My Jack Dempsey.
No.
My Jack Dempsey.
In my room.
That you paid for.
Okay.
For me.
Sure. Sure.
You're definitely right. It is definitely not red cherries.
Right.
It was feeder shrimp. But I remember when you got so they did go into the hallway. But I don't remember us having these tanks yet. I remember having them in the hallway.
The very first 55-gallon tank that we set up after we got rid of all the chameleons was right here next to the TV was here before in the White Entertainment Center. And then the Oscar tank was right next to the White Entertainment Center. And then I got breeder boxes on it, put a little bit of gravel in it, and I put the shrimp in there. And then I set up the shrimp tanks.
No. I'm just kidding. You're right.
You saw the way she talked to me, right?
Easy V Rider said, have you ever had any luck breeding the feeder ghost shrimp you get at Petco? Honestly, they're what got me into shrimp, and now I'm really enjoying them again and would love to breed some.
I have not, but I also forgot another part of my amazing week, and Shelby missed out on this one too. I got to go collecting with Josue or Josue. I can't say his name without looking at the enunciation first, but I think it's Josue from Mini Biota. And I actually got in contact with him because he was trying to breed shrimp in one of his videos. And I said, hey, if we went and collected some shrimp from a local lake that was landlocked and not part of a stream that went out to the ocean, I'm pretty sure you'd be able to get them to breed better in the freshwater side of your setup. And so he took that information and he was able to get more of them to breed into that setup. And me and him actually went collecting. I got to take him to a couple of our honey holes that we have here in Florida, and he thoroughly enjoyed them. I didn't even get to go to the best places. I saved like the best for last, and we only got like halfway. And then he had to go get his kid from school. So I'm gonna make that like a more common thing where we meet up, and maybe sometimes we go into his area. Sometimes he comes over my area because I still got a few spots for him to come and check out. You're still 2 years away.
I know.
From when I had my first shrimp tank.
I know.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to hanging out and collecting with him more. We had a blast on Wednesday. I didn't keep anything myself, but he found a bunch of land. Looks very similar to Myra. Yeah. He had a bunch of land isopods and scuds that he found. A roach, a beetle, and a crab. So.
I keep thinking Myra looks like this.
You need to go back to the live chat. I think it's time to wrap this thing up.
Do y'all see any issues with Claudia or Scuderia japonica with the large tubs?
We do not have any of that because we start like any shrimp that we get at all, unless it's from somebody that I absolutely trust. Down to like I trust Hank from my aquarium club. That guy would never lie to me. He was trying to give me the shrimp for freaking dirt cheap, and I paid him double because I was like, Hank, you're too good to me. Stop it. So I took some of his shrimp because I know they were my shrimp, and I put those out into the tubs. But I also have a little hack to find out if shrimp will have parasites or pathogens. And that's just to mistreat them and put them in really bad quality water because they're going to show it very, very fast. So if you let them sit in the bag for an extra day or two, chances are they'll show a good sign that they're imported or they'll have issues with them. So,
oh my god!
But yeah.
Sorry. Running Water said TGOE live families who come out victorious, taking bets.
Every time.
Usually
undefeated, undisputed, and still. That hit hard, didn't it? That hit hard. I never flex my muscle.
We should actually do that. Have like there's some of the first takes. Have a sound for when you win an argument. Usually we end up finishing this off screen because I get so fixated that I'm right. Oh my gosh, these betas and these vases is killing me. But like I definitely am wrong. I'm still looking because I want to see it. But I know I'm wrong because I do remember that's the problem is I remember a shrimp tank in that bedroom, but it wasn't
here's how I'm gonna jot your memory. Okay, guys, there was a 55-gallon tank there, and when the Oscar jumped,
I know that
behind.
One.
Hold on, but you don't.
I already know that story. That wasn't the question.
But you don't remember
thought
the
we
tank
had the
being
red
there.
chair. No, I remember the tanks being there.
Okay, because I was going to say, if you don't remember the tank there,
I remember
the
the
large
tanks
shrimp
being
went there next. That was like the third or fourth shrimp that I got with
I know that. The ones I killed, okay?
I wasn't going to go there.
I won't forget that. But
that was a picture of you when you first got your Subway degree.
Yeah.
Your sandwich making degree.
This just came up the other day. But
all the chameleons, you're past when I got my
I
shrimp now.
I know.
So you didn't even take a picture of her
No.
own her shrimp tank.
No, like I don't have any. Like
she was so
good-
not like she's like, I'm feeding these to my fish, or get out of here.
Yeah.
All right, back to the live stream.
You back to the live stream.
I am.
This seller was very questionable, but I couldn't pass it up. Oh no. With Scootalaria. Yeah, that's.
No, sometimes the deal is too good to be true.
Round
it usually
2.
comes with a different. Listen, if you give me a discussion.
It probably would. I know. It's the worst. Well, I had children at the time we did a lot of things. We had, rabbits in between this. We've grown an entire garden together. We did chameleons. Yeah, we were big in the reptiles.
Dragons.
So I get things mixed up, and I swear, because the problem was when he wanted the red cherries, we did have the big 55, and I did specifically say, you're gonna breed those for me to feed them. And that's when I thought that you had the shrimp tank, but we already had that shrimp tank, and you were trying to breed the what were they, ghost shrimp or something from the store?
That thing was long gone.
Yeah.
Those tanks were long gone.
No, that we had the 55 and then 2 10-gallons.
That was before I moved out.
Right.
Right.
But those were our first fish tanks.
Right. But that's what I'm trying to say is years later,
but
got
you
into
talked about
chameleons.
the shrimp breeding it for.
I never got the shrimp to breed. We just bought shrimp every time I went and got my paycheck. We went to pet stores and I just bought shrimp. They stayed in that tank and then I fed them off every now and then.
I don't know why I'm like, there's babies in that tank. There's so many babies.
I already said that. We did a water change and I moved it over here and I've done 2 water changes on it and it was taken off.
You are the garden of eater. Yeah, it is funny because it kind of our relationship we've been together for a long time, but that was one of the first things we did together was build a garden, which is kind of weird to think about because that wasn't the reason the name was that, but it kind of fits really well because that was one of our first things. And it was a good garden. It was great. It was.
But
really
I
nice.
always had a nursery growing up as a kid. We did plumerias. It was supposed to be so much more than just shrimp, and it will be one day. But it will be mostly shrimp probably forever. So
we will always infect everyone's tank with shrimp.
I've got to blow my nose. That's all I've been trying to wrap this up.
Is Clado more than anything? I can treat the worms, but the Clado is hard to come back from once you can see it.
So there's a lot of different treatments for the.
What is it? Soft dip?
Clado is the green stuff underneath, right? There's a medicine that you can put on the food. I'm not sure who sells that or what the medicine even is. When I worked with an importer briefly, they were using Paragard, but I do notice that a lot of people end up killing their shrimp off with the Paragard. One of the best things to do is make sure your environment is as pristine as possible. Feed something like Shrimp Fit that has beta-glucan in it to boost their immune system. Add Indian almond leaves and remove the sick ones as soon as possible. Do not let them stay in the tank at all. And then when you use that net, sanitize the crap out of that net before you use it again.
Sorry. Easy V Rider.
What? You lose your voice?
No.
All right. Sorry. I thought you were gone.
I don't know. Literally almost thought I was going to pass out because I just heard my voice echoing in my head. I'm actually scared right now. Easy V Rider said, or member for 37 months. Thank you so much. Getting back into breeding, lost a lot to neglect. We have been there and done that. Hopefully you have a lot of success this time, and I'm glad you're back. Running Water said, seriously, though, I love you two's banter. Been together with my better half for almost 30 years now, and let me tell you guys, you guys are gold. Thank you. Tube Dog said, I'm so glad I can bring you lovebirds back from the domestic violence. He's so funny. That's so great. But I appreciate everyone tonight. thank you so much for dealing with my banter and my stubbornness of thinking I'm correct. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you all being here with us.
Thank you, guys. We will see you next week. I know I've got to take care of these tanks right here behind me. Maybe that'll be the live stream. But if you breed shrimp or if you breed guppies, please consider entering those into the American Shrimp Contest or Guppy Contest hosted by Aquashella. You can sign up for those at aquashella.com right now. Later, guys.